Hello everybody and welcome to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report. It's going to be a little bit smaller scale this time, just 4 miniatures on both sides since the last time we played it went on very long. So we're playing a lower threat level, 15 cap, although actually both sides work out at 14 and 13 because Black Widow is so cheap. But we're playing a smaller threat level. But first let's go over the teams, the tactics cards, and then we'll look at the objectives that are already set up. So you know we like themes here, even though you can combine any combination of villains and heroes. So we're going with a theme of both teams being like associated duos, I guess. So we've got Captain America and Black Widow, and then we've got the Red Skull and Baron Zemo for one side. Now technically this crew, for lack of a better word, team, could be Cabal affiliated because their total cost is more than 50%. Because Black Widow, again, is so cheap. But the other thing we're doing is both sides are going to be running unaffiliated tactics cards, and for this team they have Seeing Red, Disarm, is Escort to Safety, and Sacrifice. And the other team of duos is Iron Man and Ultron. I know in the comics Ultron was made by Hank Pym, not Tony Stark, but we're just going for the movie reference. And we also have Spider-Man and one of his most well-known villains, of course, Doc Ock. They just revealed the Green Goblin miniature at PAX Unplugged, I think. So there is more Spidey villains on the way. And their tactics cards are Age of Ultron, Sucker, Smash, and Drop Off. So we've set up etc, but here are the two missions that got picked. So Secure is once again Gamma Waves sweep across the Midwest, and that's got the 15 threat, which is the cap we played with today as opposed to the normal 17. The Extraction is the struggle for the cube, so the 5 cube fragments, they're set up and everything is deployed. In terms of like differentiating the sides, because they're both so mixed, this is about as closest to Civil War as you can get, as in like the movie Civil War without additional releases. So we're going to go with like Team Captain America and Team Iron Man, just to differentiate when we're talking about them. So Team Captain America deployed up to the line. We have the 3 Gamma Shelters. You get more victory points for getting either the middle one or the one in enemy deployment. Because of the Christmas tree set up in the middle, we had to be a little bit off with where the cube fragment went. So there's one amongst the presents there, and then basically in each, over there and over there, to be picked up. You can pick up multiple cube fragments, but for each one you have, you get more victory points, but you also take damage, which does generate power. Yes it does. And for anyone not safely within the confines of a Gamma Shelter, they also take damage from the Gamma Waves sweeping across the map. So the Avengers, which are up to the line up there, sorry, not the Avengers, Team Iron Man is the team that's going first. So they'll be having the priority token. They start over there, and it's time to get into battle round 1. So Spider-Man got this game started and has moved long, picked up the cube fragment that was in the street there, and then moved long again to the central Gamma Shelter, which again is slightly misplaced due to the central thing in the way. And no attacks or anything to do like that, but he is at present holding the middle Gamma Shelter, which would be 2 victory points if that stays the same by the end of the turn. So kind of a mimicked movement for Team Captain America. Black Widow activated, moved long, and then moved long all the way over here, away from the safety of the Gamma Shelters, to spend her 1 power on picking up the cube fragment that had been there. So she'll be generating power, but then taking 2 damage, because 1 for the cube and 1 for the Gamma Waves. Hopefully worth it. We'll see. Back over to Team Iron Man. From up in this corner over here, Ultron stomped forwards with a medium move to pick up the cube fragment on that corner, and then moved medium again to where you can see him pointing menacingly, and yes, forgot activation tokens again, pointing menacingly at Black Widow, who's pointing right back, so he's going in for the kill. He is not in the safety of a Gamma Shelter either. Captain America also abandoned the safety of the closest Gamma Shelter to move up medium and spend a power to pick up the Christmas present cube fragment that was hidden there. A 0 cost shield throw to end his turn at Ultron. It does not need direct line of sight and doesn't provide cover because he's just bouncing it around. It managed to do 1 damage to Ultron, that's about it. So at least some, well, I was going to say some blood got drawn, but Ultron doesn't have blood, so either way, back over to Team Iron Man. 2 quick activations to cover. First, starting over here for Doc Ock. He just hopped up onto those boxes within the safety of this Gamma Shelter on his side for 1 victory point. Didn't do anything with the other action. His basic strike is distance 3 and requires line of sight. You can't see Captain America even if it was just in range, which it isn't. And then for Team Captain America, the Red Skull activated. He just moved to where you can see him, not even his full movement, so he's within their Gamma Shelter there, and, or his, I guess he's claiming it now, it's his. And then he tapped the cube to give himself 3 power, roll 5 dice for every skull he takes 1 damage, rolled none. Again, overly lucky with how many of those rolls we've seen here. I think he's only been hurt once, and it was 1 damage, which is kind of unheard of considering the odds. So now it's over to Iron Man to end Team Iron Man's turn, and then it's just Baron Zemo for Team Captain America. So fewer miniatures and lots of just repositioning. That's a quick battle round 1, but we've done the last 2 activations. Iron Man moved up, then nothing to do here because Spider-Man already took the cube fragment, so he just moved up to help secure that. Because Baron Zemo might have been able to sneak round to make it a draw there, so he's just guaranteed the cap on the middle Gamma Shelter, and he's safe. So then Baron Zemo ended the turn. He moved, picked up the cube fragment that was theirs, then moved into the safety of this one just so he would be safe and not take damage from that. And that's it, that takes us to the recap and cleanup for Battle Round 1. So there's actually quite a lot to cover in the cleanup phase due to the missions, because the gamma waves sweep across and anyone not in a shelter take damage. The damage does not generate power, so Captain America, Black Widow and Ultron all took damage from that. Everyone with a cube fragment, you're technically supposed to wait till you roll over to Battle Round 2 because it happens in the power phase, but it's just easier to cover it now. You roll over to the power phase, everyone holding a cube takes 1 damage and generates 1 power. From that damage, it specifically says you get the power. So in that case it's Captain America, Black Widow, Ultron and Spider-Man. Oh, and Baron Zemo. They all took 1 damage, but the people who have 2 damage on them, and Zemo and Spider-Man, they all have 1 extra power. So, and that's also 1 victory point for each cube fragment held. Team Captain America hold their closest shelter for 1. Team Iron Man holds their own shelter and the middle shelter for a total of 3, because it's 1 and 2. Which brings us to 5 playing 4 in favour of Team Iron Man at the end of Battle Round 1. And Team Iron Man had priority, they didn't go last, so they keep priority as we go into Battle Round 2. So to get Battle Round 2 started from where he was standing, Ultron activated and shot a 0-cost energy blast at Black Widow. He only needed to do 2 damage to put her into dazed status, and he did 3. She dropped her cube fragment behind her, it's anywhere within 2 based on the controlling player's choice. So Ultron just spent his other action to move and then spent 1 power to pick it up. So he is precarious, he's going to get hurt by the gamma shelter, gamma waves again. He already has 3 damage on him, and his strong side, his healthy side is 6. So he could go down, but if he lives, he's generating 2 at the end of the turn, and obviously Black Widow is not getting an activation. Over to Team Captain America. Red Skull activated for Team Captain America, as odd as that sounds. He unleashed the power of the cube on Ultron first for 4 power, and he blasted that robot to smithereens for 6 damage. He only had 3 health left, so he only generates 3 power, but he is dazed. He had an activation, so that's not as terrible, but he does drop the 2 cube fragments he was now holding, and they're there to be picked up. Obviously Black Widow can't though. So for his other action, he tapped the Cosmic Cube again to generate 3 power back. This time did not get lucky with the skull rolls and damaged himself for 2. With that, over to Iron Man's team. Iron Man activated next, and he moved a little bit, just a little bit, not his full medium, so he's still within that gamma shelter there, but he wanted clean line of sight of Captain America. He spent 2 power to do homing rockets at point blank, and Captain America's tanky, but it did manage to do 1 damage. Just a point of note as well, technically he had enough power, he could have used his vibranium shield, but didn't. However, the Day Like Any Other rule does not apply, because this is not an Avengers affiliated crew, and because we're not running Cabal either, that means the Cabal affiliated rule Red Skull has for +1 power if you successfully damage an enemy, that also is not in play here. So anyway, 1 damage. That's 3 on Cap in total, and over to his side. So Captain America wasn't going to stand for that. He activated, he moved medium through that little gap there. His base is just small enough to do that, in case you're curious. So he moved small, then he spent 2 or 3 power, I've forgotten how much it is now, for Shield Slam, which is like a 6 physical attack. He did ridiculously well, got a couple of crits, which added into a couple more hits. Iron Man's roll was bad. He did 6 damage, but thanks to Invincible Iron Man it fell to 5, but that doesn't matter because he has 5 HP. So Iron Man is dazed, and it will be flipped over at the end of the turn. He doesn't have any cube fragments, so he didn't drop those. He did generate 5 power. Also, the Shield Slam, once you're done with it, you throw the target as long as they're size 2 or less, small. So he chucked Iron Man with the impact of the shield into Spider-Man, who failed his dodge roll and took 2 damage from the impact as a result. He had 1 negated. So that was a pretty good retaliation there, and it's now over to Spider-Man or Doc Ock. So Spider-Man activated, and first of all he spent 3 power to web a bolt and chuck Captain America through the fence here, which did 1 damage to him. Then from where he's standing he tried to do 2 impact webbings. The first one didn't get through his defense, the second one did however and did 1 damage, which in turn has stunned him. And Captain America as a result has to drop a cube fragment, so he will drop it. there, I guess. He would have been unconscious at the end of the turn anyway, because he's not within 2 of a gamma shelter after getting chucked, so the gamma would have taken him out anyway. So either way, at least this way, we know that I think that might be the most people we've had dazed in a single turn in any of these games. So now it's over to Baron Zemo, who's just going to go in like piece of candy as many cube fragments as he can, probably, and then Doc Ock to end off the turn proper. So with Baron Zemo's turn, we're actually at the end of Battle Round 2 because Doc Ock is opting to stay at his Gamma Shelter, 1 for safety and 2 to get the victory point, although it is still Doc Ock who went last, therefore Team Captain America goes first next turn. But we'll get to that once we're in the cleanup. Baron Zemo activated, ooh, piece of candy, spent a power, picked it up, moved along, ooh, piece of candy, spent a power, picked up another one. He technically could have picked the other one up, actually it probably wasn't in range, but let's pretend it was. He couldn't, because once he takes damage from those cube fragments, if he had 4 on him, he would die. So he moved back again with his other action to the safety of the Gamma Shelter. He is taking 3 damage when the turn rolls over. So with that, we'll go into the cleanup for Battle Round 2. So at the end of Battle Round 2 and the Gamma Waves sweep across the map, no one actually takes damage because the only ones outside of the Gamma Shelters are dazed and haven't flipped over yet. And it is at the end of the turn that the Gamma Shelter unleashes. I'm just double checking, yes, during the cleanup phase. So yeah, they haven't flipped their card over yet, so Ultron, Captain America, Black Widow, they don't take any damage. The cube fragments, however, Baron Zemo's holding on to the 3 of the things, so he takes 3 damage, generates 3 power, but he's on 1 HP. Spider-Man's got 1 cube fragment, he takes damage, and has also generated 1 power, and I think he's on 1 HP as well, right? Yes, he is now. Points-wise, so that's 3 victory points for the cube fragments Baron Zemo has, 1 victory point for the one that Spider-Man is holding on to. In terms of Gamma Shelters, Team Captain America hold their closest for 1, and then Team Iron Man holds their closest for 1, and the middle one still for 2, because Spider-Man's the healthiest character holding it. And as we move into the next turn, it will be 4 people flipping over to their wounded sides. It's also currently, it's 9 to Team Iron Man playing 8 to Team Captain America, so they brought it back, but one way or another Baron Zemo is just exploding like a piñata at some point in this next turn, and it is Team Captain America going first. To get Battle Round 3 started, Black Widow activated, she didn't have a good turn. She tried to use, she used 4 power in total for 2 mixed combat styles. Wasn't even really hoping for a lot of damage hitting Ultron with them. It's just if 1 wild is rolled on the attack, regardless of if it does damage, she gets a free move small. So the plan was to like move the first small there, pick up the objective because she's out of range 1 to do that now. Then maybe get another one to hide around here, and then use a second action to get long into that shelter there. Didn't matter though, because there was no wilds. She did manage to do 1 damage to Ultron, but that was it, and she's still in the open and going to get hit by the Gamma Waves at the end of the turn. So as you can probably tell by the mess on the table, that was a very interesting activation. It was Iron Man's activation. He moved a little bit basically where he was before, so still within range of the Gamma Shelter, and now that he's on his wounded side, he has access to Unibeam, the death beam from his central arc reactor, and he fired it. It hits everything. It's in the size 5 bar. Size 5 bar is, it's just an inch thick, so it couldn't catch Captain America, but it did catch Baron Zemo and Red Skull. It didn't manage to damage Red Skull. He rolled well on his defense. However, Baron Zemo took exactly 1 damage, which was enough to knock him out. So he is dazed. He generated power from the damage, but he dropped the 3 cube fragments. Double checked, and it's the enemy player that gets to pick where dropped objectives go. So I think I said specifically the exact wrong thing earlier. So they have been placed there, but in reaction to that occurring, Seeing Red was played by Team Captain America, specifically Captain America himself did this. It's a reactive. When an allied character is dazed or KO'd by an enemy effect, another allied character within 2, and he is within 2, pays 3 power to play this card. After the attack is resolved, you can attack the enemy character that caused the damage. So he did a shield throw on Iron Man. It missed him, didn't get through his defense, but it did get a wild, so it was allowed to ricochet. Presumably the wild effect still applies. So it ricocheted into Spider-Man, did 1 damage to him, and knocked him out. He had a cube fragment, right? Did he? Nah, I could have sworn he did. Oh, he did. There, that was like, why is it not on his card? It's because it's on the table. So the cube fragment has been dropped there. Spider-Man is dazed and will not get an activation. So all in all, a draw. So now it's over to Team Captain America. Remember, that does not count as Captain America's activation also. So Captain America activated next, and remember his activation was not eaten up by the Seeing Red card. Also, kind of ironic that Spider-Man is the one that's wounded on it, and it was playing the Seeing Red card that actually took Spider-Man out, but either way, looking at it off camera also, the original plan for Spider-Man was going to be he was going to retreat because he was wounded to bodyguard that shelter, and then that would allow Doc Ock to actually come forwards at full health and do something. Didn't work out that way thanks to a ricocheting shield bouncing between the two of them. So anyway, Captain America picked up the cube fragment he was closest to, moved into base to base with Iron Man just because he couldn't quite get around him, and tried to smack him but didn't get through his defense. So they're just brawling like Civil War over there. So now... oh no, Ultron's still there, yeah. So it's either Doc Ock or Ultron for Team Iron Man. Ultron activated next, and his activation has been proof that sometimes you've got to play the objective, not just give in to bloodlust. So he moved, he picked up 2 of the shards. He didn't want to pick up the 3rd because he has not quite got enough power to regenerate himself, which is presumably the plan. So he picked up 2 here, and then rather than attack Red Skull, because remember Zemo's unconscious so he can't be hit, he just moved onto the shelter here. Now because he's on his wounded side, Red Skull still has secure priority, so that's still a point to Team Captain America, but it means he's not going to take damage from the Gamma Wave, and he's out the way, and that's it. So now it's just Red Skull himself, yeah. Red Skull, and then once again Doc Ock to end the turn, and that means it'll also be shifting priority. Well, we'll be back after those. So at the end of Battle Round 3 technically, but we'll start with Red Skull's turn. He had a very strange turn. He spent 4 power, that's a lot of power, on Unleash the Cube, a 7 energy attack on Iron Man. It didn't do a single bit of damage. Horrific attack roll, I think it went down to 2 damage, easily blocked. So then he spent 1 power on Sap Energy, I think it's called. It's when for every wilding attack roll he steals 1 power from the person he's hitting. That had a bunch of crit rolls which turned into more hits, and Iron Man's defense roll was abysmal. So he actually took 7 damage, although Invincible Iron Man brings that down to 6, but he took 6 damage, and that is him dead. On his weak side, or on his wounded side, he has 5 HP, so Mr. Invincible Iron Man ain't so invincible. He is gone, and Doc Ock is once again just claiming that shelter because Spider-Man can't move back for it. So that takes us to the cleanup for Battle Round 3. So at the end of Battle Round 3, Ultron holds 2 cube fragments for 2 victory points, which have in turn damaged him for 2 and given him 2 power. Captain America holds a cube fragment, 1 damage, 1 power. And I think that's it as far as cube fragments. So yeah, Team Iron Man, even though Iron Man's not there anymore, got 2 from the cube fragments, and Captain America's team got 1. Now in terms of the Gamma shelters, both sides hold their own closest one for 1 victory point, because Doc Ock hasn't moved all game. He's never had a chance to shine yet. And although Ultron is here, the Red Skull is still on his healthy side, so he takes priority for securing, so that's 1 victory point. Now over here, Spider-Man was dazed, and Captain America is within 2, so he is claiming that middle one for 2. Also in terms of the Gamma Wave sweeping across, Black Widow took 1 damage from that, which does not generate power. And at the start of Battle Round 4 with the Avengers again, with Captain America's team going first again because they didn't have last activation, it's all even at 12 victory points each. So here we go into Battle Round 4. So Captain America got Battle Round 4 started. He moved up onto the middle shelter. He then just tried to strike Spider-Man. He got a wild in the attack, so before damage is done he can push him small. And did, pushed him back there. Also did well with the damage roll and actually got 2 damage through on him. So I think Spider-Man's banking a lot of power now, but he's got 3 HP left. But Captain America is holding the middle shelter now, so he will need to be dealt with if points are to be gained. He spent the power to pick up the cube fragment he was next to, so he's holding 2 now. Yeah, Team Captain America is just going for the Hail Mary of getting to the 16 victory points this turn, essentially. So with that, over to the first one. First activation for Team Iron Man. Spider-Man activated, and first of all he used up power to fire taser webs at Captain America. Captain America's on his wounded side, so he has I can do this all day and counts blanks as successes, which is just as well for him because it negated the damage. So he survived that. Then he spent 3 power on Web-a-Pult to chuck him and opted to throw him in this direction, not so he would be impacted by anything, but so for 1 he's not claiming that, and 2 he's also not safe from the gamma radiation, and he's had an activation. So, and then Web-a-Pult is not in action, so he had 1 left. He moved back so that he is claiming the back objective for Team Iron Man. 2 quick activations to cover. Black Widow activated. She had to use a move to pick up the energy. Well, she moved next to and picked up the cube fragment she was next to. Then she moved along down here where you can see her. In retaliation, Ultron activated. His goal was just to take out Red Skull, so he did 2 energy blasts, 0 cost, didn't move, and all said and done only did 2 damage to him, so Red Skull still has 2 HP left. So it's rolled back round to either Red Skull or Baron Zemo activating, and then it's just Doc Ock for Team Iron Man. So Red Skull activated, just spun on the spot and unleashed the cube on Ultron for 2 damage, which killed Ultron, so the cube fragments he was holding was dropped, and as you might expect, he was banking his power. Age of Ultron got played, we've seen this before. Basically, you spend 8 power, and Ultron is revived on his healthy side, placed within 3 of where he was killed, so just right there. Now, that's why he was trying so hard to get Red Skull dazed to go to his wounded side, because then he would have been the only healthy character there, and that would have meant he was claiming that shelter. As it turns out, they're just, it's even, but that's still a victory point denied if nothing else. So, Age of Ultron gone, he's back on his healthy side if it does go to a different turn, and now it's Doc Ock to end the turn for Team Iron Man, that's the words I'm looking for, and then it'll be Baron Zemo after that. So the final 2 activations, Doc Ock moved from that shelter because Spider-Man's claim it to claim the middle. He then used his arm lasers on Captain America but could not get through his I can do this all day boosted defense. So that was his activation, and then to end the turn was Baron Zemo. He picked up the cube, he moved kind of like diagonal, picked up the other cube, he steel rushed or charged, whichever one it is. What was it? Yeah, steel rushed Ultron, trying for a Hail Mary to take him out again. Did 3 damage, so half his health, but didn't remove him. And with that, it takes us to the end of the battle round, but is that the end of the game? We have to see. So at the end of battle round 4, this has come down to the wire. So in terms of who's holding on to cube fragments, Team Captain America got most of them. Zemo's holding 2, Captain America himself is holding 2. The damage happens when the turn rolls over, so it doesn't apply now, so it wouldn't have mattered if it knocked them out or not. In terms of cube fragments, Team Iron Man has none. But in terms of shelters, 2 healthy characters contest, so that's a draw there. Let's see, this one is being claimed by Doc Ock for 2, and that one is being claimed by Spider-Man for 3. So although they lost on victory points to the cube fragments, they gained on the gamma shelters. That does bring the game to a close, because one team has barely beat out the other to get to the 16 victory point limit. It's happened in turn 4 again. Team Captain America has taken it. 16 plays 15. If Ultron hadn't have gone down, he would have swung it in their favour, because he would have had 2, which would have came off their 2, and if he'd taken out Red Hood, I did it again, Red Skull on his turn, and he was just 2 HP away from doing that, he would have claimed that for 3, and it would have been a victory despite Iron Man going down. So, that takes us into the endgame. So as always, Crisis Protocol was very fun. I expected this one personally to be shorter because both sides only had 4 miniatures, were playing less threat. That and the cube fragments is a really easy way to get victory points quickly if you're willing to kill your characters by them hoarding way too many of the things. But that was fun. It's a bit of a simplistic table design this time for basic Christmas decorations, but also just a lot of cars. Wasn't too many chucking of sceneries, just chucking through scenery. So I asked in the comments of the battle report for this one if people didn't mind us doing these Crisis Protocol reports just using the miniatures available. I believe the Black Panther Killmonger box is out next week, but that's the US date. There's no specific UK date yet, and all I can still find online is a placeholder of January 10th, which is pretty nasty. Hopefully, as I say, I'm kind of convinced at this point that is a placeholder date, and it's hopefully going to be December, but just keep in mind if I don't immediately try and track down Black Panther and Killmonger, it's because they don't necessarily have the same release date as the US, unfortunately. Keeping an eye on third-party sources. Atomic Mass Games is really good at communicating with their customers for the most part, especially compared to other people, night models. But they're a little too vague when it comes to specific release dates. I wish they were a little more on the nose. But that's their prerogative. They've just revealed a bunch of new minis at PAX Unplugged, like Green Goblin, like I mentioned, Drax and Ronan the Accuser, and the rest of the Black Order for Thanos. So there's a lot of really cool looking miniatures. Sadly no Hulkbuster yet. I've got my fingers crossed for a Hulkbuster. And a variant of Captain America that has Thor's hammer. I would love that a lot. Oh, that's the thing as well, they're going to be doing their first duplication of a model from the core box, because at that same event they have shown off a box of Hawkeye and Black Widow. It's a different Black Widow miniature, it's not the same one, she's in a more dynamic, bouncy pose, pretty much the same costume more or less, or maybe it's her movie costume, I'm not sure. But either way, that is an instance of they are bringing out variants of characters, so fingers crossed for special variants. I'm rambling again. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. There'll be more to come in the future as and when. Go check out other battle reports if you want in the meantime. And we'll see you next time. Ta for now.